Have you ever had that unsettling feeling when, after you've given birth, something just doesn't feel right? Now, I'm going to give a little bit of a warning here. If you are an underslept, anxious mum who's everything's going fine for you, this episode might not be for you, because I will be discussing some kind of serious topics such as unexpected hospital readmissions. I'm going to be talking about blood loss and going into theatre. I'm going to be talking about anxiety and fears. So if you think this might be triggering, then feel free to skip ahead. But if you are ready to navigate the unknown and learn how to handle postpartum surprises, or if you're in a very similar situation yourself, then stick around. Just a week after the birth of my baby, I found myself in a very challenging situation that really turned my world upside down. Now, I'm only sharing this because I know that it might help another mama just like me, because it really was the loneliest time in the world going through that alone. And I'm here to share my story with you in the hope that it might help you. It might help someone out there to stay positive and know that you're going to get through this, because that's really what I needed at that point, and I really just didn't have that support at all. So welcome back, beautiful mama. And I am Mrs. Manifestation. As I mentioned, this episode is for anyone who's worried about needing to go back to the hospital postpartum. Sometimes unexpected things do happen that are out with our control, but knowing what to expect can make it a little easier for you. So today I'm going to be sharing my own story of discovering retained placenta after birth and the emotional journey that followed. Now, I hope this helps anyone who might be in the same boat or simply just wants to feel more prepared. By the end, you'll know what to look for, and we'll discuss some ways that you can be ready for anything, even if you're just going for a quick checkup. Obviously, I am not a doctor. I'm simply sharing my experience and what has happened to me in the past. So make sure that if you have any concerns whatsoever, you're straight on the phone to your medical professional, because health is everything. Now, the first thing that I want to discuss is recognizing that something wasn't quite right for me. So about a week after the birth, maybe between a week and 10 days after, I just totally knew something was not right. My body felt completely off. I am like the most energetic, positive person in the world, but I just felt so unlike myself. My energy was rock bottom. I had stayed really, really puffy. I had tons of retained fluid and I just felt really unwell. And a few days after the birth, I continued to have super sharp pains, like contractions, which I initially just thought were afterbirth pains because I've heard that they're a real killer. But they were so bad that I was literally doubling down in pain. I was in agony, quite honestly. And I was going through quite a tough week establishing breastfeeding. That is another story. So let's stick to this one. But I just knew something was off. And basically, a week postpartum, a week to 10 days, I was still having constant gushes of bright red blood. And I was losing quite a lot of blood. It wasn't to the point where I was like, oh my God, this is, get me into A&E, but it was really still quite alarming for this to be happening 7 to 10 days after. And as I say, it was fresh, bright red, and still loads of blood. So I contacted my maternity providers, my midwives, because when these symptoms persisted, I just thought, how long is this going to continue for? Something's not quite right. So I contacted my midwife and they basically referred me to A&E, the maternity department. And I can't tell you how hard it is to second guess yourself and wonder, am I overreacting? And the reason why I knew I wasn't overreacting is because I basically will try my best to deal with absolutely everything myself. I'm not somebody who ever wants to go into the hospital unless it's essential. So when I said to my husband about this, he knew that something was really quite wrong. So never doubt yourself for seeking help. What's the worst that can actually happen? Okay, being cautious is really essential, especially after giving birth, because you need to take care of yourself. It's not just you now, you've got a little beautiful baby, and it's about you receiving that care. You need to be your best mama. So don't obviously get into a panic, but if you feel that you need some advice, just contact your midwives, contact your care providers, and let them know how you're feeling, what's going on, and just be persistent, listen to your intuition. So what happened then was we basically packed a bag for the baby because he was breastfeeding. So I just took some things along with me, like, you've got all your baby supplies and things, took that with me and a few snacks, and we headed up to A&E, the A&E Department of Maternity, and my husband drove me there. So we got there, sat in a queue, and then we were seen. And basically, I was given an ultrasound to see what was going on. And that was after the initial examination. And after that, they confirmed that actually I had retained placenta, which is where some of the placenta is broken away from the main body of it, as it were, and it just stays attached within your womb. So this happened, and I had no clue that this was going on. I didn't even really know that it was a big thing, that it was something that happened to a lot of women, or some women. So, my placenta was actually positioned in such a way that it wasn't the traditional place. I think they call it anterior position. So I don't know if this has anything to do with it. It was the same the last time as well, but I didn't have this happen to me then. So what happened then was we had to just go and wait in a waiting room to see what was going to happen next. And I just thought, we're going to have they're going to give me some pills or medicine or something, and I'll take that and I'll detach it, and it'll be fine or whatever. But what actually happened was that I was told I would have to have a procedure that would remove it, because they didn't want to risk more blood loss, and it was quite a sizable amount that it had to be removed, because it can cause infection and things if it's not expelled correctly. So this was quite honestly my biggest fear because they explained what the procedure was all about, and for me, just having any procedure obviously I'm working through all of this and just mentally trying to, it does make you stronger. You have to get through these things, but I was terrified. And I was just so emotional. I was sitting there trying to breastfeed my baby, trying to establish breastfeeding. I had nothing with me. I couldn't speak to my daughter. My husband was there, and he's like, just, like, it's fine. It's going to be fine. Nothing to worry about. But, he had stopped what he was doing to take me to the hospital. So again, I'm feeling really guilty about all of this. And the fact is, I was just sitting there having no clue what was going to happen, when it was all going to happen, and what the outcome was going to be. So I was just starting I was just trying to get up and running. And you know how it is with midwives coming in every single day with constant phone calls and different things, and everything's going on, and your whole life really is turned upside down. And all I wanted to do was go home. All I wanted to do was be at home with my baby, trying to get into some kind of routine, trying to establish breastfeeding, because my baby at the time, they kept checking up because he was not gaining weight as quickly as they would have liked. So I was pretty much breastfeeding around the clock. It was just such a hard time. I don't want to go over and over and on about that, but it was really a very difficult time for me. So I'm going through all of that, and then I had to sit here and wait in this waiting room, find out what on earth was going to happen next. And I was just terrified. And I'm trying to stay positive the whole time, because what else can you do? But I was terrified. So, expecting that you're just going to receive some medication and go home, and actually then you're suddenly faced with this procedure where actually they told me that I was going to have to be put to sleep and go into the theatre, where I'd never been in my life, never expected to. So really the news was kind of shocking to me. It was kind of shocking. It was really pretty much the worst news I could have heard that day. And to top that all off, while I was waiting on the ultrasound results and what was going to happen next, I was breastfeeding, as I mentioned. So I had a few grapes, some water and tea. That's all I had with me. And to try and keep my energy up, because I was literally exhausted, beyond exhausted. And little did I know that because I had a few grapes, was going to delay my admission to theatre for over 6 hours. So I had to sit there all that time extra because of the decision I made to have a few grapes and have some water and have some tea. Because the consultant said that there was no way on earth that he was going to put me through this procedure where I'd eaten. Okay, and the rules were you must be on a completely empty stomach. So at that point, anxiety levels are going through the roof, and what started at just a routine visit, or so I thought, at 11 a.m, didn't lead to a theatre until about 11 p.m. that night. One of the hardest parts for me, okay, was feeling so powerless. I couldn't prepare my daughter, my family, for the fact that I wasn't going to be there. I've always had a huge fear of losing control of situations. I am a control freak. That's who I am. I'm trying not to be. I call myself a recovering one. I'm trying not to be. I'm trying to go more with the flow. But here I was, forced to completely surrender to everything that was going on. I had no comfortable clothes. I had no PJs. Like, I am a real homebird. So when I was in that situation, I was cold. I was freezing. I had to wear these gowns, like your standard hospital. It's basically like a very large t-shirt. And I had to wear 2 of those because guess what? It's wide open at the back. So I had to wear that, and I've got trainers and socks on because I was wearing leggings because I'm a new mum and I can't fit into anything else. And I was just sitting there, cold, seriously stressing out and having to breastfeed my baby on an empty stomach, and I couldn't stay awake. It was emotionally, it was energetically draining. But despite everything, I had my husband beside me, and I just knew that this was happening for a reason. I just kept thinking, I'm facing all my fears here, my biggest fears at once. I just knew, even thinking back right now, I am getting emotional about it, but I just kept saying, this is going to work out for the best. There is a reason for this happening. There is a reason I ate those grapes. There is a reason that this is pushing me so far out of my comfort zone. It was just so much at once, the hardest time. So at some point that night, as everything went on, everybody went home. I was just sitting in a waiting room the whole time. It wasn't even like you had a room to go to or anything. You're just sitting in a waiting room. And at some point, everyone went home, and I just had to surrender basically to the universe, to God. I had to just trust all the people around about me and trust that this was happening for my good, for the greater good, that this was meant to be. And I just had to trust in it. They hand you a disclaimer form, a sort of waiver form, which outlines all the risks involved with the procedure, all the things that can possibly go wrong. And I started reading, and obviously I had to be put to sleep for the procedure. That was a huge fear of mine as well. I basically had to say to my husband, can you have a read through that for me, please? And because honestly, I was at that point, I was so exhausted. I was like, can you just give me some reassurance, please? Because I knew I had to do it and I had to sign it or they wouldn't, but just even signing a form like that, so formal, and seeing some of those risks, it just freaked me out. So I just had to say, like, tell me it's going to be all right. And he's like, look, it's going to be fine. It's a routine procedure. People do this every day. I'm here with the baby. You're going to be absolutely fine. Don't worry about it. You're just being silly. And sometimes we just need to hear that. Didn't help much, but that's exactly how I felt. And that's the support that I was given. So I was like, okay, we'll do this. And there really wasn't another alternative, because what was going to happen is just going to keep losing blood, and I'm just going to keep feeling that way. And so there really wasn't any other choice for me. So then the night team came in. They'd all been called out to do this procedure, and they were called in, and I had to wait on them all arriving there at maybe 11, half 11, something like that, in the middle of almost the middle of the night. And I thought to myself, you know what? Let's look at the positives here. We've had an amazing midwife who's coming to care. She was on Elite, one of the midwives were on the A&E care team. She was coming in to check on me all the time. What an angel. She helped me so much. She's like, I know how you feel. Listen, you're going to get through this. This is going to be absolutely fine. She was just an absolute angel. Don't you always, I'm tearing up about this. Don't you always just get angels at certain times in your life? She was one of them. She was amazing. She came in and she kept checking up on me because she knew that I was so anxious about it. She saw that the baby was here. She saw we're just sitting there like for all that time. And she even moved us into sort of a side area off of the main waiting area where there was a wee bed. I was so cold. She brought me like a wee blanket and then helped to set me up with the baby so I could continue breastfeeding. She was just so sweet. It was funny actually, she offered my husband a sandwich, even though, I was sitting watching him starving. But, we couldn't do anything about that. She put a drip in my arm as well. She's like, look, you need to continue breastfeeding. You can't obviously drink, but here we go, we'll give you an IV, put some fluids in there for you. And that helped so much. Just, oh my, she just did everything for me. She was amazing. So I was just so, so grateful for all of that. And I thought, do you know what? Maybe I wasn't meant to have that procedure earlier. Maybe this team that are coming in, they're all well slept. They could be the dream team. They are the dream team. They're coming in to do this procedure. They're going to do it so perfectly. They've been well rested. They're well prepared. They are experts in their fields. They're amazing people. So I went in there. I won't say too much about the surgery, the whole experience of that, but I will say that all the doctors and the nurses there were incredibly compassionate. Their care really got me through it. And I just went into the theatre feeling scared, terrified really, but supported. And I woke up afterwards just having no memory at all whatsoever of the surgery itself. Terror beforehand, but just a deep sense of gratitude. So I went back, and then you go through into a room where they kind of just check that everything's okay with you. It was really quiet. I was the only person in there. And I had a home birth. I always have, you can hear about that in the previous episode, but I always have a laugh. I always have a joke about, oh yeah, I never got my tea and toast because, I wasn't in the hospital. Tea and toast is supposed to be the best ever thing after you give birth. And obviously I never had that because I wasn't in the hospital, and I don't know, I think I had a croissant. But I always laughed, oh, I never got the tea and toast, but I got tea and toast. She brought me some toast, some tea, and I was just so grateful that it was all over. I had to go, the nurse wanted to check, you have to check that, everything's as expected. You have to go to the bathroom, make sure you can wee, all of that. And honestly, I've never weed as much in my life, because you don't think you will, because you're not drinking, but the fluid it goes through into your system exactly the same. So did that. Was given the okay to go a few hours later because I didn't want to stay. They were going to pop me into maternity ward to just take care of me, but as I said, I'm a home bird, wanted the home birth, wanted to get back home to my family, and I had to get back home and actually continue on that breastfeeding journey and all of that. So I was just totally exhausted. So I think it was about 4 a.m. when we could leave in the morning. And I was just exhausted, but I was beyond relieved, beyond grateful. And so that was the story. So now I'm going to share with you some practical tips. If you're a mama who's facing readmission, or you've got postpartum checkups and you're thinking, or should I or shouldn't I call? What should I do? What should I take with me? If you're finding yourself needing to go back to the hospital, even just for a checkup, here are some things that I wish I'd known beforehand. Okay, these steps can be essential, and it can make the experience so much easier for you. So number one, bring essentials. Pack a small bag. Just take some comfy clothes, like even if it's even if you think you're going in for something routine, it probably will be, but you can't guarantee that. So even if you leave it in the car and someone drops it off for you, I would have brought something like slippers, I would have brought a gown, I would have brought a pair of PJs, I would just brought maybe even just things to freshen up and skin. I know if you're going to think about staying in, okay, I'm getting a bit extreme now, like skincare, makeup, blah blah blah, but you literally won't have anything if you need it. So think about that. And obviously all your baby essentials, you know that you're going to need that anyway. If you need any backup like milk bottles or like nappies, all that kind of stuff, clothes, a change for your baby. And phone charger, so important. I would say bring some snacks as well, but 100% ask if you can eat, or if there's any reason before you go in. Just say, is there any reason why I shouldn't have anything to eat? Just check, because you do not want to be in that same situation as me because you have a few grapes. It's honestly, I was gonna kill. I was just oh, it was just the worst. So honestly, like, that is amazing what a little comfort can do in those moments. Even if you've got like an iPad or something to just pass the time, or a book or something that's going to cheer you up, keep you positive. Because again, it's going to lead me into my second point, which is prepare for delays. So if you have things to keep you busy, like a book or headphones, you know, if you've got, like, say you've got an audio book and you've got your AirPods and you've got somebody who can come with you just to lighten the mood, can make a huge difference to your mindset if there are long waits. With your support system as well, next tip, let a family member or a friend know in advance so that they can be ready to step in and help with childcare if necessary. Make that someone you really trust, and make sure that they know that you know everything's to hand just in case. Next one, ask questions. Don't hesitate to ask what to expect, because if you're completely unaware of what's going on or what's due to happen, just having a little clarity can give you so much more ease. Just knowing what to expect, knowing, for example, how common things are and how many other patients go through the similar experiences every day or every week, it can really help to just put you at ease. And then last point, advocate for comfort. Even if you don't have your angel and beautiful nurse there that I had, your midwife, just ask for, you know, whether it's asking for a blanket or requesting to hold your baby or requesting whatever you need. These small things matter. So don't be afraid to ask for what you need if you really need something. So again, just before closing, thank you for listening, Mama. My heart goes out to anyone who is facing unexpected postpartum challenges. Remember that seeking help is a sign of strength, not weakness. So if you need more support on facing postpartum experiences, make sure you're firstly contacting your healthcare providers. They are 100% the first port of call. And if you're looking for more general support on facing postpartum experiences, make sure that you're subscribed to this channel. And please comment below with your story if you've gone through anything similar, or anything else that you think would add to the conversation, because this is a brand new channel, brand new platform. I really want to grow an amazing community here where you can gain that support and really sisterhood through this time that you need. So if you want to dive deeper into the journey of motherhood, make sure that you're subscribed to the New Mama Bible mini course. You can get that for free at mrsmanifestation.com/new mama. It is designed to help you to thrive as a new mum at zero expense to you. Have an amazing day, Mama. Stay safe. Sending you so much love, best wishes on your journey, and I look forward to seeing you again in the next episode.